Free bikes for kids.
Okay, if you're old enough to cast your mind back to 1993, you'll remember that mountain biking was still quite new, certainly in the UK. Front suspension was a luxury and rear suspension was unheard of. And lots of early attempts at rear suspension were terrible. And this is the Raleigh Activator 2, which was Raleigh's first attempt at some kind of suspension on the rear of a mountain bike. I'll show you some of the details of that now. Still on its original rims. Obviously they're nothing special, but they are the rims that would have been on the bike when it was new. It might even be still on its original tyres. Obviously hasn't had very much use because it's overall in pretty good condition. It just needs a bit of TLC, and like I say, I'm gonna fix it up and get it looking tidy again. I've got a catalogue photograph somewhere that I'll show you of the brochure with all the buzzwords and everything that they were using for this when it came out as a state-of-the-art piece of kit. So yeah, I'll add that in as well. But yeah, bit of fun. So here we have the rear elastomer setup for the suspension, and then the pivot is down here, but there wouldn't have been any bearings in that. I'm sure it's just a plastic bush on that pivot there, and then this triple triangle design to accommodate that suspension system. So there you go, there's what was supposed to be the clever bit in 1993 at the rear of the bike. Front was very typical. This bike obviously needs a bit of love, and I am going to give it a bit of love just because I remember them from my childhood. It's a bit of mountain bike history, and we wouldn't be where we are today without bikes like this coming in and getting it wrong so that we could get the amazing suspension systems that we've got nowadays. So yeah, it's going to be getting some attention. Like I say, typical front, probably elastomer suspension setup on the front there. It was I think 18 speed Activator 2, and at the time there wasn't a lot else like it. There was some early sort of mid-80s suspension systems that were developed, but this was kind of the first of the mainstream brands to make an attempt at solving the problem, if you like, of the harshness of the rear end of a hardtail mountain bike. So they played about with this design. It weighs an absolute ton. I'll put it on the scales in a second and let you know how much it weighs. But yeah, I did think maybe of making a sort of semi-ironic soft tail gravel bike conversion out of it, but it's just so heavy I don't think it's practical to I still might if I get bored enough. This, by the way, is not standard. That's a piece of water bottle cage that somebody put there, because what would happen is these straddle cables would snap, or rather this cable would snap, this cable here would snap, and then your straddle cable would drop down onto your tyre. So this cable would drop straight down onto the wheel and lock up your rear wheel. So that stops that cable. It's normally done by a reflector on the front here. You can see the reflector would have done that job, stop this cable dropping down. So yeah, cantilever brakes, first of the indexed SIS shifting, big plastic motorbike style brake levers, very much a 90s. Quick release seat post would have been fancy at the time. There we go, £37, which is about the weight of a small family car. Of course, the obligatory gel saddle. They were really popular at the time, even though they were horribly uncomfortable. But yeah, there you go, just to give you an idea of how lucky you are if you're riding a current suspension system. This is what we had to put up with in the early 90s. Still love it though.